Kamu gatal, bukankah kau sudah berpunya? Jangan.
Salam keluarga Malaysia. Hello and good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mohapriya and you're watching Updates at Noon. Making the headlines today, GE15 election candidates get fair coverage in media reports. Tanzania plane carrying 43 people crash lands into Lake Victoria. The government's focus on the development of the Orang Asli community is based on three core aspects, namely infrastructure, education and generating income. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the government's commitment to this is reflected in the 305 million ringgit allocation provided specifically for the Orang Asli community in Budget 2023 compared to 274 million ringgit for this year.
Dari segi fokus kepada pembangunan orang asli ini ada beberapa fokus. Yang pertamanya dari segi pembangunan infrastruktur di perkembangan orang asli. Seperti kita tahu, banyak yang perlu dilakukan lagi. Terutamanya di kawasan perkampungan orang asli, kampung serpihan sebenarnya. Yang menjadi masalah besar adalah kampung serpihan. Macam kampung di sini dah besar, dah cantik dengan infra dan sebagainya. Tapi kadang-kadang mereka membina kampung yang baru. Kampung baru yang kedudukannya agak terpencil.
The Prime Minister was met after attending the Mongeteh program at the Sungai Tuang Orang Asli settlement in Bera. Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri also emphasised that the government always focuses on the issue of education for Orang Asli children, as education is the best platform for a person to change the fate of himself and his family for the better. As an example, he cited programs implemented under the Majlis Amanah Rakyat MARA that sends qualified young members of the Orang Asli community for tertiary studies abroad. The current shortage of eggs in the country is caused by smuggling activities to neighbouring Thailand. Special Task Force on Jihad Against Inflation Chairman Tan Sri Anwar Musa said that the activities were due to the fact that the price of chicken eggs in Thailand is higher than in Malaysia.
Ini saya berharap sementara memohon peladang-peladang menyegerakan peningkatan pengeluaran 100,000 telur sebulan, shortage bulanan. Jadi kalau pula ada yang membawa telur ke selatan Thailand, maka shortage akan jadi lebih daripada 100,000. Maka lagi lambat nak memulihkan bekalan.
Commenting further, he said that the egg supply shortage is expected to be resolved by the end of December. Tan Sri Anwar was met after delivering donations to more than 200 storm victims near Kampung Tegayung, Melo. Meanwhile, Tan Sri Anwar, who is also Communications and Multimedia Minister, said candidates contesting in the 15th general election, GE15, are given enough opportunity in both government and private media coverage. He said the government upholds the concept of media freedom as long as reports are made within the legal context and are factual and not fake news. For government agency media, he said the medium was also used to channel news relating to the government of the day.
Di stesen-stesen kerajaan, mereka dikehendaki terus menjalankan tugas seperti biasa untuk menyampaikan dasar dan program aktiviti kerajaan, pimpinan Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri. Sementara atas sifat individu yang mewakili parti tidak boleh menggunakan aset kerajaan atas kapasiti parti politik. Jadi saya harap dasar itu jelas dan saya telah minta supaya agensi dan jabatan membuat pemantauan yang sewajarnya.
He said this after receiving several complaints and confusing information daily about the reporting conducted by several broadcasting stations covering non-government parties. 3 men were arrested by police during nomination day on Saturday in Kuching and Syrian after they were found to be flying drones without a permit or license. According to Sarawak Police Commissioner Dato' Muhammad Azman Ahmad Sabri, the first arrest involved a suspect in his 40s who had allegedly flown the drone at the Putrajaya Nomination Centre. Police also seized a drone from the suspect. While the second incident, 2 men aged in their 30s were arrested for allegedly flying a drone at the Syrian Nomination Centre. During the arrest, police seized 1 drone set as well as a smartphone. The 3 suspects have been released on police bail pending the completion of the investigation. Now, the case is being investigated under Section 447 of the Penal Code or Rule 140 of Civil Aviation Regulations 2016. The Malaysian Meteorological Department, Met Malaysia, has issued a warning of heavy rain and more frequent thunderstorms in the afternoon to evening, which are expected to occur in the states on the west coast of the peninsula from this Tuesday until 11th November. Now, the states involved are Perak, Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya, Negeri Sembilan, Melaka and Johor. It said, based on the analysis of the Met Malaysia Weather Research and Forecasting Model, the European Centre for Medium-Range Weather Forecasts and the Global Forecast System, GFS, wind concentration is expected to occur on the east coast of the peninsula and west of Sarawak. This situation has the potential to produce continuous rain that can bring heavy rain and strong winds to the east coast of the peninsula from 8th to the 11th November. Met Malaysia also advises the public to always refer to its and all social media and download the My Cuaca application to get the latest and authentic information. 5 houses near the Kampung Baru Gateway in Jalan Raja Muda Musa, Kuala Lumpur were destroyed in a fire last night. However, no casualties were reported. Senior Operations Commander, Assistant Fire Superintendent Rahmat Kamarul Zaman said, on receiving an emergency call at 8:19 p.m, 36 firefighters were rushed to the scene from the fire and rescue stations in Titiwangsa, Sentul, Jalan Tun Razak and Hang Tuah, as well as the Emergency Assistance Unit. The fire involved a partitioned house comprising 5 small units and was 90% destroyed. Meanwhile, house owner Abdul Rahman Marif, 65, said his partitioned house comprises 5 small units which house 9 of his employees who work in a nearby restaurant. He claims that the fire was caused by a short circuit due to the condition of the house, which was 60 years old.
Saya ingat pasal wire tu banyak kali dah orang beritahu saya ada problem. Bila ada problem saya repair. Boleh jadi ni terlapar dah itu sangat, dah lama. Dia sok lah. Rumah papan lama. Hanya kita cepat, hanya dia orang keluar je. Yang terbakar lintasan api, wire tu je. Bila kita cepat, kita ucap terima kasih pada bomber je. Dia cepat datang, belakang dan depan. Jadi kalau angin kuat tadi, saya ingat habis lah satu kampung baru.
Up in our foreign segment, at least 10 killed in Syria regime rocket strike. A plane carrying 43 people made a crash landing into Lake Victoria on Sunday while attempting to reach a nearby airport in Tanzania. According to Tanzania Prime Minister Kasih Majaliwa, at least 19 people were killed when the plane, operated by Precision Air, crash landed on approach to the lakeside city of Bukoba. The airline confirmed the death toll and amended the number of survivors down to 24 in an updated statement on Sunday evening. Earlier, the carrier as well as local officials had said that 26 of the 43 people on board had been rescued. The flight, including 39 passengers and 4 crew members, had taken off from Tanzania's commercial capital of Dar es Salaam and was headed to the town of Bukoba before it plunged into Lake Victoria as it was preparing to land. The accident is believed to have happened in the final approach to the airport, whose runway begins right next to Lake Victoria, Africa's largest freshwater lake. Local officials suggested bad weather may have played a part in the accident, saying the area had been under heavy rainfall and strong winds at the time. The regional airline has opened a crisis management centre and established information areas in Bukoba and Dar es Salaam to communicate with families of the passengers. Syrian regime rocket fire killed at least 10 people, including 3 children, at makeshift camps for displaced people in the country's last major rebel-held bastion on Sunday. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said that dead included 3 children among 7 civilians and 2 unidentified individuals. It said another 75 people were wounded when more than 30 rockets exploded in several areas, including the camps west of the city of Idlib in Syria's northwest. Shelling continued later in the day at several locations in the area, and rebels targeted government positions in retaliation for the strikes. A media correspondent saw flimsy tents destroyed and burnt, bloodstains and rocket debris at the scene. At a nearby hospital, the correspondent saw the bodies of 2 young girls. The last pocket of armed opposition to President Bashar al-Assad's regime includes large swaths of Idlib province and parts of the neighboring Aleppo, Hama and Latakia provinces. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, headed by ex-members of Syria's former Al-Qaeda franchise, is the dominant group in the area, but other rebel groups are also active. According to the observatory, the rocket fire came the day after 5 Syrian forces members died in shelling by a group affiliated with HTS. Japan Prime Minister Fumio Kishida pledged on Sunday to beef up Japan's naval and military capacity, warning that nations must prepare to face aggressors. Kishida also condemned Russia's war in Ukraine and denounced North Korea's recent blitz of missile tests, one of which flew over Japan for the first time since 2017 and prompted a rare evacuation warning. The leader's remarks came as Tokyo is drafting security plans that may call for doubling the nation's defense spending within 5 years. That would represent a sea change in Japan, where the pacifist constitution limits its military capacity. Kishida said the enhancement of Japan's naval capacity cannot wait, including construction of the new naval ships, bolstering its missile defense capacity, and improvement of the work conditions and compensation for its military personnel. He did not name China, but said that the national security environment surrounding Japan is growing more severe, including the East China Sea and South China Sea, where Beijing has taken assertive positions in territorial disputes with countries including Japan. Kishida added that Japan will ensure transparency of its military spending. Kosovo's policemen who work in the Jarinje and Brinjak border posts in the north of the country resigned on Sunday in protest over Pristina's order to use Kosovo vehicle license plates instead of those issued by Serbia. Now, the 300 resignations in the northern town of Mitrovica, reported by Serbian media, are part of a wider Serb movement to withdraw from state institutions, including courts, police, parliament and government. In North Mitrovica, several thousand Serbs gathered at noon to protest against obligatory Kosovo license plates. The long-running license plate row had stoked tensions between Serbia and its former province of Kosovo, which gained independence in 2008 and is home to a Serb minority in the north that is backed by Belgrade. Kosovo police said in a statement it was aware Serb police officers had abandoned their posts and some have handed over police equipment. Kosovo's government had said it will start issuing fines this month to Serb drivers using pre-independence plates and will confiscate vehicles that have not had their registration numbers changed by 21st April 2023. NATO, which still has around 3,700 troops to maintain the fragile peace, asked Pristina and Belgrade to show restraint and prevent escalation. Facebook parent Meta will become the latest tech firm to scale back its workforce, with plans to lay off thousands of employees this week. The Wall Street Journal reported that the layoffs could impact many thousands of Meta employees and that an announcement was expected as soon as Wednesday. As of 30th September, Meta had about 87,000 employees worldwide across its different platforms, which include social media sites Facebook and Instagram, as well as messaging platform WhatsApp. The latest plans from Meta follow recent announcements by other tech firms to freeze hiring or cut their workforce as the industry fights economic headwinds. Ad-supported platforms such as Facebook and Alphabet's Google are suffering from advertisers' budget cuts as they struggle with inflation and rising interest rates. Meta in the third quarter saw its profit fall to $4.4 billion, a 52% decrease year over year. Meta's stock price took a major hit on the disappointing results, falling 25% in one day. The company's market value over the past year is down to $600 billion. Protesters in Istanbul attempt to gather in various spots around the Taksim area to attend the March for Humanity against chemical weapons. Police set up blockades to prevent demonstrators gathering and arrest dozens of people before any protest begins. Turkey has blasted as completely unfounded and untrue claims that its military used chemical weapons in its fight against outlawed Kurdish militants in northern Iraq. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan leaves hospital 3 days after being shot in the legs in a failed assassination attempt. Khan, 70, was wounded by gunfire aimed at his open-top container truck as he led a political party convoy through thick crowds in the eastern city of Wazirabad on Thursday. Italy on Sunday took families with babies and vulnerable migrants rescued in the Mediterranean as charities slammed Rome's decision to order the others back into international waters. 144 minors and a sick were allowed off the German-flagged Humanity 1 in the early hours at the port of Catania, but 35 adult male migrants were refused permission to set foot on Italian soil. The ship was then ordered to leave the port of Catania. Coming up in sports, Sabah crowned overall champions of 2022 Para Sukma. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah has extended his heartiest and warmest congratulations to Asian Hockey Federation AHF Chief Executive Officer Datuk Muhammad Tayyab Ikram. Datuk Muhammad Tayyab was elected as the new president of the International Hockey Federation at the 48th SAHIH Congress. The Istana Negara, in a post on its Facebook page, said that His Majesty, as the royal patron of the AHF, was proud of Datuk Muhammad Tayyab's achievement at being elected to helm the SAHIH, adding that it was in recognition of his extensive contributions to the development of hockey in Asia. His Majesty also wished Datuk Muhammad Tayyab Ikram all the best and more success as he embarks on new responsibilities and takes on new challenges in bringing the SAHIH to greater heights. Datuk Muhammad Tayyab defeated Belgium's Mark Coldren 79-47 at the Congress, which was held virtually. Sabah were officially crowned the overall champions of 2022 Malaysia Para Games for the first time after winning a haul of 54 gold, 36 silver and 35 bronze medals at the 20th edition of the 6-day Para Sukma, which began last Tuesday. It was a reverse of fortunes as defending champions Sarawak had to settle for second place with a haul of 50 gold, 47 silver and 49 bronze, followed by Johor in third place with 38 gold, 30 silver and 25 bronze. At the last edition in Perak in 2018, Sarawak collected 61 gold, 62 silver and 60 bronze medals, while Sabah finished in second place with 36 gold, 28 silver and 30 bronze. Sarawak, however, will remain the most successful contingent in Para Sukma, having emerged overall champions 13 times in a row. Field athlete Mohammad Zikri Zakaria and compound archer Nur Janaton Abdul Jalil were crowned Best Male and Female Athletes of 2022 Para Sukma, respectively, at the closing ceremony last night. Mohammad Zikri of Perak broke Games records en route to winning 3 gold medals in the discus, javelin and shot put wheelchair category. His shot put achievement placed him second in Asia, as well as fourth in the 2 other events, thus making him a podium contender at the Hangzhou Asian Games in China and a potential champion at the ASEAN Para Games in Cambodia next year. Best female para athlete Nur Janaton, 27 of Perak, also won 3 golds in the 50 meters individual archery event, the individual Olympic round and the 50 meters mixed team compound with Zafi Rahman Matsali. 33-time champion Selangor FC and Terengganu FC inched closer to a place in the Malaysia Cup semi-finals following victories in their respective quarter-finals first leg matches last night. At the Petaling Jaya City Stadium, Selangor dominated and scored 2-0 win over Negeri Sembilan FC, while Terengganu edged defending champions Kuala Lumpur City FC 1-0 at the KLFA Stadium in Cheras. Selangor put on a good performance when downing Negeri Sembilan 2-0 in Kelana Jaya. The hosts dominated the first half but failed to convert that into goals, even though they tried repeatedly. They managed to score in the 56th minute through a penalty when defender Sharul Nazim Zulpakar was brought down inside the NSFC box by Harold Mark Goulon 2 minutes earlier. Goulon was subsequently given his marching orders. Substitute Alif Haikal Lokman Hakim Lau then managed to add to the score when he tucked in the second goal in injury time. Selangor's win puts them in a comfortable position as they head to Tuanku Abdul Rahman Stadium in Paroi for the second leg against Negeri Sembilan, while Terengganu await Kuala Lumpur's visit, with both matches scheduled for 12th November. Ducati's Francesco Bagnaia of Italy won his maiden MotoGP World Championships at the season-ending Valencia Grand Prix on Sunday, despite only finishing 9th after fellow contender Fabio Quartararo of France failed to overhaul his points tally. Defending champion Quartararo was 23 points behind Bagnaia going into the final race. The Yamaha rider needed nothing less than a victory to leapfrog the Italian in the standings, but finished 4th, while Suzuki's Alex Rins won the race. Bagnaia's 9th place was enough to retain his lead in the championship and give Ducati their first title since Casey Stoner won it in 2007, ending 15 years of dominance from Japanese manufacturers. His title marked the greatest comeback in MotoGP history, as he was 91 points down midway through the season, and it ended a 50-year wait for an Italian rider to win the championship on an Italian bike. Bagnaia's teammate Jack Miller battled for 3rd place in his final race for Ducati, but the Australian lost his grip to crash out soon after conceding his position to KTM's Brad Binder, who also overtook Jorge Martin to move up to 2nd. But there was no stopping Rins, who took the checkered flag in his final race for Suzuki, as the Japanese team, which is being disbanded, signed off from MotoGP with a victory. About 30,000 runners, some wearing face masks, took part on Sunday in a chilly and smoggy first Beijing Marathon since 2019 after COVID cancelled previous races. It was the first major sporting event in the Chinese capital since the Winter Olympics in February. China continues to adhere to a strict zero-COVID policy with harsh lockdowns, quarantines and testing regimens imposed after even the smallest outbreaks. As a result, only people living in Beijing were allowed to take part in the race, unlike previous editions which had attracted foreign runners. Some runners kept their face masks on for the race, which Anubake Kuan from Xinjiang won in 2 hours 14 minutes and 34 seconds. The marathon was meant to resume last year, but was cancelled again to avoid any outbreaks of COVID ahead of the Olympics. On Sunday, runners went past Tiananmen Square as they completed the race through the streets and highways of the Chinese capital. China's zero-COVID policy has seen it sharply cut links to the rest of the world since 2020 in a bid to limit outbreaks caused by travellers. The policy has also disrupted the country's ambitions to host major sporting events, with Formula One Grand Prix, golf and tennis all cancelled in recent years.
Why do we tell you stories?
Relevant,
New,
efficient,
accurate.
reliable. We bring you extraordinary stories from around the world, from politicians, bankers, and even your favorite celebrities. This and many more on RTM's English News.
And that concludes today's edition of Updates at Noon. In our top story today, GE15 election candidates well covered in both government and private media reports. We leave you now with the visuals from Cape Town's oldest settlement area, the Boat Cup, where more than 50 homemade, differently themed vehicles make their way down the steep roadway in a box cart race. Till then, yang SAHIH di RTM, #MyPRU15. Thanks for watching. I'm Mona Priya.